I convinced myself it was just coffee. Sarah was working late again, third time that week, and when my coworker Maya suggested we grab drinks after the company mixer, I told myself it was networking. That's what I told myself when I felt that flutter in my stomach watching her laugh at my jokes. That's what I told myself when she touched my arm and said I was so much funnier than the other guys here. Sarah and I had been together 8 years, married for 3. We had the house, the golden retriever, the 5-year plan scribbled on our kitchen whiteboard. But somewhere in the routine of mortgage payments and grocery runs, I started feeling invisible. Maya saw me. Maya laughed at everything I said. Maya made me feel like the man I thought I used to be. The coffee turned into lunch. Lunch turned into just talking in her car after work. I deleted the texts but kept taking them. I started showering when I got home, claiming I'd hit the gym. Sarah would kiss my cheek and ask about my day, and I'd lie so smoothly it scared me. "You're glowing lately," Sarah said one morning, making me coffee the way I liked it, extra cream, no sugar. "Whatever you're doing at work, keep it up." She smiled that trusting smile that used to make my whole day. Now it made my stomach twist with guilt I wasn't ready to face. Maya started sending photos. Nothing explicit at first, just her in cute outfits asking which one looked better. Then a bikini shot from her weekend trip. "Wish you were here," she texted. I stared at that message for 20 minutes before typing back me too. 3 letters. 2 words. The moment I crossed the line from emotional affair to something else entirely. I told myself Sarah wouldn't understand. Sarah was practical, logical, focused on our future. She worked in accounting, spoke in spreadsheets and 5-year projections. Maya was spontaneous, artistic, alive in ways that made me remember who I was before I became half of Mark and Sarah. Or at least who I thought I was. The hotel happened on a Tuesday. Maya said she couldn't stop thinking about me, that she knew I felt it too. She was staying downtown for a work conference. Room 314. I told Sarah I had a client dinner. She reminded me to tip the valet and kissed me goodbye like she'd done 1,000 times before. Walking into that hotel room felt like stepping off a cliff. Maya was wearing this red dress that hugged every curve, and when she kissed me, it was hungry and desperate in a way Sarah and I hadn't been in years. I told myself I deserved this. I told myself I was just a man with needs. I told myself Sarah would never have to know. We had twice. The first time was frantic, clothes barely off, fueled by months of built-up tension. The second time was slower, and that's when reality started creeping in. When Maya traced patterns on my chest and talked about her dreams of traveling to Europe, about how her ex never understood her art, I realized I barely knew this woman I'd just destroyed my marriage for. I drove home at midnight, expecting Sarah to be asleep. Instead, she was curled up on the couch in her pajamas, my dinner wrapped in the fridge with a note, "Hope your client appreciated the effort you put in tonight. Love you." She'd waited up. She always waited up. That night, lying next to my wife while she slept, I felt the weight of what I'd done settle into my bones. Sarah's breathing was soft and even, completely trusting. Her hand found mine in her sleep, fingers interlacing like they had every night for 8 years. I wanted to wake her up and confess everything, beg for forgiveness, promise to never see Maya again. Instead, I carefully pulled my hand away and stared at the ceiling until dawn, already planning when I could see Maya next. 3 months. That's how long I lived in this twisted double life before everything exploded. 3 months of sneaking around, lying to the woman who trusted me completely, convincing myself I could have both the stability of my marriage and the excitement of my affair. Maya became more demanding. She wanted to know when I was leaving Sarah. She started calling during dinner, hanging up when Sarah answered. She'd drive by our house, texting me photos of Sarah watering her garden or walking our dog. "She looks so boring," Maya would write. "You deserve someone who appreciates you." I should have ended it then. I should have seen the red flags, the manipulation, the way she was trying to my perception of my wife. Instead, I ate it up. Every criticism of Sarah felt like validation for my choices. Maya understood me. Maya saw my potential. Maya made me feel alive. Sarah started asking questions. Why was I working so many late nights? Why did I smell like different perfumes sometimes? Why was I so distracted during our Sunday morning breakfasts, the tradition we'd kept for 5 years? I got better at lying, crafted elaborate stories about difficult clients and stressful projects. Sarah believed every word because she had no reason not to. The worst part was watching her try harder. She'd surprise me with my favorite meals, suggest date nights, wear lingerie she'd ordered online. She thought our distance was work stress, thought she could love me back to the husband I used to be. Every gesture of love felt like another knife in my chest, but I was too deep in my fantasy to stop. Maya pushed for more. She wanted me to meet her friends, wanted to go on real dates, wanted me to spend entire nights with her. I found myself crafting increasingly complex lies. Business trips I wasn't taking. Weekend conferences that didn't exist. Sarah even helped me pack, ironing my shirts and tucking little love notes into my suitcase. The beginning of the end started with a photo. Maya and I at a restaurant across town, her feeding me dessert while I laughed. She posted it on Instagram with some vague caption about amazing company. I made her delete it, but not before Sarah's best friend Emma saw it. Emma didn't say anything to Sarah immediately, but I could feel her watching me at the next family barbecue, suspicion radiating from her like heat. Sarah finally found the texts on a random Thursday evening. I'd gotten careless, left my phone on the kitchen counter while I showered. Maya had sent a particularly explicit message about what she wanted to do to me, complete with photos. Sarah was holding my phone when I walked out of the bathroom, towel around my waist, completely unprepared for my world to implode. "Who is Maya?" she asked, her voice so quiet I almost didn't hear her. She was sitting on our bed, my phone in her lap, tears streaming down her face. She'd clearly read everything. 3 months of lies, betrayal, and fantasy laid bare in blue and gray text bubbles. I tried to lie. Even then, even with the evidence right there, I tried to convince her it wasn't what it looked like. That Maya was just a friend going through a rough breakup who was saying inappropriate things. That I never encouraged it. That I was going to tell Maya to stop. Sarah just stared at me. This woman who'd loved me unconditionally for 8 years, who'd built a life with me, who'd trusted me with her whole heart, just stared like she was seeing a stranger. "Show me your phone records," she said quietly. "Show me your credit card statements. Show me where you really were all those nights you said you were working late." I couldn't. Because every record would show exactly what I'd been doing. The hotel charges. The restaurant receipts. The lies stacked on lies stacked on lies. So I broke down and told her everything. About Maya, about the hotel, about the 3 months of deception. I watched my wife's face crumble as I destroyed the foundation of everything we'd built together. She didn't scream. She didn't throw things. She just nodded slowly, like pieces of a puzzle were finally clicking into place. "I knew something was wrong," she whispered. I kept telling myself I was being paranoid. I kept trying to be a better wife, thinking if I just loved you harder, you'd come back to me. The guilt was suffocating. This incredible woman had been blaming herself for my betrayal, had been trying to fix something that was never broken, had been pouring more love into a marriage I was actively destroying. I'd made her doubt herself, doubt her worth, doubt reality itself. "Get out," she said finally. "Pack a bag and get out. I need to think." Her voice was hollow, empty of all the warmth that had made me fall in love with her 9 years ago. I'd killed that warmth. I'd the woman I married and left a broken stranger in her place. I packed while she sat motionless on our bed. 8 years of shared life reduced to a gym bag of hastily grabbed clothes. When I kissed her goodbye, she didn't respond. She just stared past me like I'd already become a ghost. I went to Maya's apartment that night, thinking she'd comfort me, help me process what had happened. Instead, she seemed almost excited. "This is perfect," she said, opening a bottle of wine. "Now we can finally be together for real." She started planning our future while I sat on her couch, numb with the realization that I'd destroyed my marriage for someone who saw my wife's pain as a victory. That was the night I finally understood what I'd really done. I'd traded a partnership built on 8 years of love, trust, and shared dreams for a fantasy that existed only in stolen moments and secret texts. I'd given up everything real for something that was never real at all. The divorce papers came 2 weeks later. Sarah had hired the best family attorney in town, the kind of shark who specialized in making cheating husbands pay for their choices. She wanted half of everything, which was fair. She wanted the house, which was fair. She wanted me to cover her therapy costs, which was more than fair. What destroyed me was the letter she included with the papers. 3 pages of everything I'd meant to her, everything we'd built together, everything I'd thrown away. She wrote about our first apartment, how we'd painted the walls together and slept on a mattress on the floor for 6 months until we could afford a bed frame. About the night she got food and I held her hair back and brought her ice chips every hour. About how she'd imagined growing old with me, watching our kids graduate college, retiring to that little house by the lake we'd talked about every anniversary. "I would have forgiven anything," she wrote. "If you'd come to me and said you were unhappy, if you'd told me you needed something different, if you'd given me a chance to fight for us. But you chose to lie instead. You chose to make me question my own reality. You chose to let me blame myself for your unhappiness. I can forgive the cheating, Mark. I can't forgive making me doubt my own worth." Maya and I lasted exactly 3 weeks after Sarah found out. Turns out, when the excitement of sneaking around disappeared, we had nothing in common. She was shallow, self-absorbed, and had no interest in anything beyond surface-level passion. The woman I destroyed my marriage for couldn't even hold a conversation about anything deeper than reality TV or Instagram drama. The final straw came when Maya suggested we should celebrate my divorce being finalized by taking a trip to Europe. Using the money from selling the house Sarah and I had bought together. Using the inheritance from my grandmother that Sarah had helped me invest wisely. Maya saw my devastation as her opportunity, my loss as her gain. I finally saw her for what she really was, a predator who'd targeted a married man and manipulated him into destroying his life. The worst part was watching how the affair affected everyone else. Sarah's parents, who'd treated me like a son for 8 years, wouldn't speak to me. My own parents were disgusted, ashamed of what I'd become. Our mutual friends picked sides, and nobody picked mine. I became a cautionary tale, the guy everyone whispered about at parties I wasn't invited to anymore. Sarah herself into rebuilding her life with a determination that was both inspiring and heartbreaking to watch from a distance. She got promoted at work, started traveling with her sister, began dating a guy from her book club who looked at her like she hung the moon. I heard through mutual acquaintances that she was happier than she'd been in years, that she'd told people the divorce was the best thing that ever happened to her. Meanwhile, I was living in a studio apartment that smelled like the Chinese restaurant downstairs, eating frozen dinners and wondering how I'd managed to destroy the best thing that ever happened to me for someone who'd disappeared the moment things got real. Maya had moved on to her next target within a month, posting photos with some other guy she'd probably convinced was misunderstood in his marriage. I tried dating, but I was. Every woman I met, I compared to Sarah. Every relationship I tried to start felt fake, shallow, pointless. I'd had 8 years with someone who loved me completely, who built a life with me, who saw my potential and helped me become a better man. Everything else felt like playing house with strangers. The depression hit hard in month 6. I'd lost my wife, my home, most of my friends, and my sense of who I was. I'd defined myself as Sarah's husband for so long that without her, I was just a guy who'd thrown away everything good in his life for a few months of meaningless with someone who never actually cared about me. Therapy helped, eventually. Dr. Martinez was brutal in the best way, forcing me to confront not just what I'd done but why I'd done it. The midlife crisis, the fear of aging, the narcissistic need to feel desired by someone new. The way I'd convinced myself I deserved more than the incredible woman who'd loved me unconditionally. The selfishness that had let me destroy another person's sense of reality to protect my own comfort. I learned that affairs aren't about the other person. They're about the cheater's inability to face their own unhappiness, their own mortality, their own fundamental selfishness. Maya wasn't special. She was just available and willing to feed my ego. I could have communicated with Sarah, gone to couples therapy, worked on whatever was missing in our marriage. Instead, I chose the nuclear option because it felt easier in the moment. A year later, I ran into Sarah at the grocery store. She was with her new boyfriend, laughing at something he'd said while they picked out wine for dinner. She looked radiant, peaceful, free. When she saw me, her face didn't change. No anger, no recognition beyond basic politeness. I'd become a stranger to the woman who'd once known me better than I knew myself. "Hi, Mark," she said simply. "How are you?" I'm good," I lied. "You look happy." "I am," she said, and meant it. Her boyfriend looked at me with mild curiosity, clearly having no idea who I was. Sarah hadn't even told him about me. I'd become so irrelevant to her life that I wasn't worth mentioning. As they walked away, I heard her laugh again, the same laugh that had made me fall in love with her a decade ago. But now it was for someone else, someone who probably appreciated what he had, someone who'd learned from the mistakes of men like me. I stood in that grocery store aisle for 20 minutes, surrounded by pasta and sauce jars, finally understanding the true cost of my choices. I hadn't just lost a wife. I'd lost my best friend, my partner, my home, my future, my sense of who I was. I'd traded everything real and meaningful for a fantasy that lasted 3 months and left me with nothing but regret and the knowledge that I was capable of destroying the best thing in my life. The man who'd walked into that hotel room 2 years ago no longer existed. In his place was someone who understood that some choices can't be undone, some trust can't be rebuilt, and some people, once you've shown them who you really are, will never look at you the same way again. I still love Sarah. I'll probably always love Sarah. But love isn't enough when you've proven you don't know how to protect it, cherish it, or choose it when it matters most. I had everything, and I had a way because I thought I deserved more than everything. The cruelest irony is that I finally became the man Sarah deserved to marry, honest, self-aware, capable of real love, only after I'd lost the right to be that man for her.